Hey, yo, Red, how easy is it? Too easy without all that extra shit. Let me give you one more. Boom. That's life. And they got you guys in the cities fighting over stocks, stacks, blocks, and chalk. I'm gonna share a poem with you. These are, this one's about the ego. Pretty much, if you become offended, then you're just becoming your own worst enemy, because nobody should have that power over you. Nobody should have the power to insult you in such a way that you're like, oh, I'm gonna go reevaluate my life. You know, you should have evaluated your life to a point to where you are unaffected by petty people long before you went into that little hypothetical scenario I just gave you. So that's what this poem's about. I'm just gonna get right into it. I'll probably talk afterwards, and I guess I'll give you some context as well. These are poems that I wrote for myself. I kept them to put into a scrapbook with a bunch of photos of me and all the random bullshit that I've done. Sorry you don't see it on Facebook and social media, because I don't share stuff on Facebook and social media. Maybe I will at some point. But yeah, so this is stuff that was exclusively for my grandchildren to be like, oh, you know, if I'm not around for whatever reason, like, oh shit, I got a lot in common with my grandfather. And then ultimately, you know, when all the cliches start to make sense, because eventually they do, they become more funny than they actually are, because you make sense of them. Ultimately, when that happens, they'll be like, oh, I get the little punches that he threw in these poems. People aren't that different. You're not special. I'm not special. I'm nobody, by the way. Nobody. So just approach this with that, you know. Drop your ego out the door. Criticize me, of course. You can challenge me. I love to be wrong. So educate me if you think you can. I welcome you to it. Got nothing but love. I'm 3 minutes in already, so I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, start the poem. Give you one more. Give you a chance to be present, you know, with yourself. I don't know if you've done that for a while. You're obviously sitting in front of a screen right now, so maybe take a breath and we can both approach this little moment, right, that we're sharing with without any predisposition. All right. When you talk about love, you must first have a sense of I, and finally of you. This one's about roses. I already screwed up. This is why I wrote it down. I don't memorize my poems. Really did not plan to share this with people. I'm gonna start over. Okay. When you talk about love, you must first have a sense of I, and finally of you. This one's about flowers, roses that rise, white ones too. I love a rose, and you have yet to rise with so many thorns. It's no surprise within these vines, so many can find your kind, but by my side will never find. This ain't about white privilege. This is about you, sucking, sullen, wallowing in a moat left unabridged, when your only security is your insecurities, a pretty mouth spitting dirty disparities from waist high while you're square down on your knees. My response may have been a bit pervish, but in my defense, I thought you were offering a public service. The ego, that I condone. But your name is not your own, untitled and unfinished, living a life diminished and without order or foundation. In its place will never stand a home. Worse than unfinished, but incomplete, after you sought to not compete, bought the shoes before you measured your feet, wanting hopelessly for a reputation to simply proceed. recognized on par with your self-esteem. The cause for alarm, where your arrogance is beamed, a greater shadow is cast to be seen as dead ringers ring, a result of entitlement, seeking a path where all false idols went, soft, malleable, a whole life that's derived. A will to be molded once pulverized, contained by a noodle press, pushed through perforations contrived, then served to be eaten alive. Just 'cause you read lean cuisine in a magazine, sold for review by Consumer Products to identify you with and inspire you to. But hold up. Who the fuck are you? Without identity, a life outside yourself, a hairless beast, the disguise, a pelt. But I see inside a divide all the ways that you abide, and when it leaves you no place to hide, where will you reside? On TV, in the streets, magazines, and ads and beats, you only see all you want to be. But me, I only see in you defeat. You share an identity with your prescribed part of a partisan nation. Piece of a partisan nation. All those with whom you share admiration, and hope that it goes without mention, that with that unrefined, undeserved, underdeveloped, sensical perception and pretension, affected by admiration at full extension, comes a false sense of understanding, a false stake, self-acclaimed, entitlements that you're demanding, entitled to the royalties role models have earned through bulletproof asceticism, lives led, discerned, no intermission. But if you can't see yourself depicting you after somebody else, then you never had a dream. That's just a revision. You couldn't start a fire with jet fuel and matches, bitch. You're no masochist. You feel no desire to burn, to reduce any part of you that offers nothing in return. Parts impertinent to the ideals held certain, intrinsic to the pure form potential of you as a person. You want every part of you, no parting of ways, because you feel you've endured suffering through all of your days, to some experience from which you might be granted some praise for each endeavor undergone. No matter how irrelevant, deadweight baggage with no intent, you're putting it on, done at the expense of self, masked by scented cologne. This is crises, but you're not at it alone. This undertaking is commonplace, so you fall within a norm. That's not about race. The struggle of the identity crisis is buffering, but to play the victim is a realm of real suffering. But you know no struggle if you've never won it. You know no struggle because you save yourself from it. But the toll is ever taxing, the mind and soul forever mismatching, and the loss is to be lost eternal and shook, to never find your meaning, because you never sought to look, because to justify leisure by comparison is infinitely easier, until hence you're left with no remittance to find the fragility of our own fastidious existence. Resent the world for rotating too fast, an hour too late, a time that has passed. Reflect on a life, if we lived all the things you might do, if you could have only just lived in spite of just who. The world has revolved past and left you on your ass. You have left it no consequence and has left you in existential angst, an ill that you will have to carry to every park and bench for the remainder of a life so deranged, until you suppress its knowledge, vindicating with some sorry substitute for self, for which you can offer nothing in the likes of life not prepackaged and found on the shelf, because you have never known life and not the pursuit, never afforded life the privilege of being lived true, never will until it leaves you. You can only hope that this substitute for self might learn of life through someone that has lived a life somewhat true. But life has no guarantees to someone that has guaranteed nothing to life, only strife, submission, and sin. The sin? Simply a submission to have never been. One is a house of cards, the other's of glass. They both cast stones. Has just been the two. But I'm the mason's home with a view. I love a rose and you have yet to rise. With so many thorns, it's no surprise. Within these vines, so many confined. You're kind, but by my side, we'll never find. When you talk about love, you must first have a sense of I, and finally of you. This one's about flowers, roses, roses that rise, white ones too. White privilege, the scapegoat, the other side of a hate moat. When you'd rather drown than ask for some help, you gotta ask, do I hate myself? It shouldn't take a team to reinforce self-esteem. But if you struggle in an effort to be redeemed, lend a hand, reach out, and in turn you may be offered a few. This ain't about white privilege. This is about you. So in summary, if you're gonna say I love you, you gotta know who you're talking about. Then this is me talking to myself, right, when I wrote the poem. You know, like I needed a better sense of I needed an identity, right? I needed not just an ego, not just a performance, not just a fuckboy that like goes out and only chases a girl with birth control and then like runs that into a negative feedback loop until I get bored of it or like kill myself. I needed something tangible, right? Something rewarding, something fulfilling, something to become passionate about, something that like a real woman that doesn't take birth control because she doesn't fuck with fuckboys all the time, that only date girls that are on birth control because they're not serious about themselves, so they're not going to be serious about you. When I wanted to get away from that, I was like, damn, I have to make myself, like, I thought I was on this level, right? I'm like, you can rock this level all day, be king of the bars. But I was at, when I wanted to go out of my league, I was well out of my depth, right? That's just honesty, right? So yeah, this is literally a poem about me, so that's the point. Like, everyone that's making this whole thing about like a group identity, I mean, cool, man, support your brothers. I support my brothers. My brothers have many colors, many nations. I've been all over the fucking place. Definitely, like, America is just the weirdest place where you have people ask you what you think about black people, and you're like, dude, I don't even know how to answer that question because I know you have a predisposition, and the only way that I could relate or relay some sort of commentary that would be beneficial to you would be to understand what ground you're coming from before I even approach this discussion, just because there's nothing there. It's like the most super, you are literally an incarnation of God's glory and love. Sorry, I got to get woo-woo. And this skin that you wear is just part of the game. And if you can't remove your ego, if you can't identify with the basic identity that you were given as the foundation or the building blocks of who you might become, then you are stuck in the matrix. You're part of the simulation. You're literally a bot. You're a non-playable character. You're a narcissist. You're a black hole. You're a hollow man. You're a wooden man. You're a straw man, whatever you want to call it. And you're shook. That's the reality of it. If you identify more with partisanship than you do to the general world, and love and compassion, then you're just perpetuating a game that has no meaning, a game that does not abide by any of this. Because all that out there, man, that's love. That's love, that's life, that's raw shit, that's real shit. And when shit gets real, that shit gets really real. You know? People like to talk about real shit all day. And it's good, you know? I don't know, man. Like I said, I got nothing but love. I'm not trying to sit here and hate. There's just a lot of I don't know. Exercises is in futility, you know what I mean? All these people are trying to be heroes based on some weird predication. And if you're a hero, that means you either kill or you're gonna get killed. And nobody's winning there, man. Nobody. So I don't know. I'm not here with all that peace and love bullshit because I know no one wants to hear it. But at the end of the day, I don't know, man. Like, I'm sharing this with you because my grandkids are gonna be kicking it with your grandkids, and I hope your grandkids are off all this bullshit, this extra shit. You guys are bored. These people are bored. They got cooped up in their house for too long and they're bored. And don't get me wrong. I mean, like, all right, so I will say this. Let me backstep real quick. There was a president here that, you know, the IRA fought way back in the day. You know, Cranberry sing about it. Zombies, zombies, zombies. There's definitely principalities. Look at that neon bug. Oh, it's gone. There are definitely principalities here that that need to be fought. But you're not gonna win this with 4 in the bed. You know? We don't need to be turning on each other when we got, like, you know, an enemy we've been kind of oppressed by for hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, we were already the type to get ensnared and entrapped long before we were sailed to this side of the map. Like, same shit, same bullshit story. So get closer to love. Here's the thing about, like, people's weight in gold, right? If you hate somebody, then you gave them that weight. You know what I mean? They're worth that much sand. And if you just tilt that shit, put it on the other side of the scale, frenemies are much better than enemies. Like, if you can find a way to love somebody, to be compassionate, to learn from your enemies, to learn whatever you gotta learn from any motherfucker. Sorry, I'm getting real preachy now. This is not what I wanted to do. If someone's either earned the right for you to hate them or for you to love them, once they have one of those two powers over you, then they're gonna have one of those two, right? Unless time takes care of it and you put someone else on that scale. So recognize that. And then, like, again, like, going into fear, a lot of people are acting out of fear right now. That's why they're looking for authoritative figures to represent them, because they don't have enough conviction in themselves, enough confidence to represent themselves. So they're like, oh, I don't like a lot of what this guy says, but I'm cool with what he stands for. You know, I don't like this guy's behavior 90% of the time, but he's the best I got to represent me. You know, that's some low vibrational shit right there. That's some real low vibrational shit. So elevate, I guess. Oh yeah, remove that fear with faith. That was with the scale thing. So you got love and hate, you know what I mean? If you hate somebody, you probably loved them at one point. And that's unfortunate that you had to turn that into hate, you know, because I don't know why you're giving someone that much power over you, especially if they're not worth it. But beyond me, you know what I mean? Forgive them, turn that into love, leave it, forget about it, grow from it. It happened. Things are beautiful. Life's beautiful. Keep it that way. That's up to you. Ain't nobody else changing your perspective but yourself, man. That's all internal. And if you haven't transformed in the last 4 months, then you're trapped. You're fighting a battle at home. Hopefully motherfuckers aren't calling you crazy or something. And if you're in the process of going through a whole bunch of transformations, feel free to reach out. Like I said, lend out a hand. In exchange, maybe you'll be offered a few. Change your shit up, man. There's a lot of people are finding out that shit ain't working. A lot of people are committing suicide right now. You know, there's statistics that say that more people have killed themselves during this coronavirus epidemic than the corona has killed. I can't speak on it. I'm not no fucking person. I'm not the fucking one. But yeah, the whole faith thing though. hopefully you're not going from me being on your screen to like 3 more hours of people being on your screen. Because if you don't have the self-control and discipline to sit down with yourself or manage your own diet and not eat the shit that you don't want to eat, to not text back all these fuck boys or fuck girls, to not watch porn and jack off, if you don't have the conviction or the self-control to not do any of those things, then ain't nobody else trying to kick it with you either, bro. If you can't kick it with yourself, ain't no good person trying to kick it with you. There's plenty of good people out there. They just ain't kicking it with you. If that's like how you're living. If you're 100% right now, good on you. Didn't mean to rant. Didn't mean to say all this extra shit. Hopefully you took something from the poem. Hopefully you took something from something else. You got any questions or whatever? I'm trying to make myself available, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Recently, kind of had this whole religious thing happen, and I don't know if anyone else is going to go through it. I'm sure it is. People are calling this the Great Awakening. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Schumann's resonance and, you know, like all this beautiful sun before anything else was on this big old planet of rock. I mean, of course, you had bacteria from all over the place, all over space, crashing into this and being a part of this. But aside from the basic makings of those bacteria, all the other information that made it possible for everything else to evolve came from that holy trinity of like water, right? That's conductive. Drop a toaster in the bathtub, see what happens. Don't do that. Sunlight and earth, baby. So yeah, that's the fundamentals of all life. Shit, that was a tangent. Where was I even going with that? Oh yeah, something about... Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna delete that part. No, I'm not. I can't edit this. My bad. Something about, oh yeah, Trinity. These are the basic makings of life. Beautiful information happening. Still here. Oh, whatever. I don't know what I was getting at. Go get in some sun. Go get in some water. Go do something. Transform your life. If you don't want to be near other people because of Corona, then like, cool. Don't be around them. Find a place like this. Every state's got it. Every state. Alright. Sending my love. Yeah. If anyone's having a hard time, this is actually like just for you. Everyone that wants to criticize this shit, cool. Put it in the comments. Whatever. Peace. Yeah. Okay, so I just realized I went on that tangent and I forgot where I was going because it was about one certain scripture or a certain type of text that I'm only just now getting familiar with, to be honest with you. The Bible was the last thing I hit, and that's when I was like, oh, Jesus is real talk. I woke up through like Hinduism and Buddhism, but yeah, same. They all tell the same stories. So yeah, still got views for days. Now, I forgot the most important part about that poem. All right, so let's take away the positives. We all need you to be the best version of yourself, you know, like serve your divine purpose, or your like, I don't know, your innermost desires. Like try to like cater to those a little bit, because maybe that's like your secret superpower talent thing that you're supposed to offer to the world and to your children and to your children's children. You know what I mean? Maybe like it's like that butterfly effect, you know, where like you do like just even make the tiniest effort to be like the person that you're always beating into submission. You know what I mean? Like your higher self's all like, hey, you should say this, and then your lower self's like, no, you don't got the fucking balls, bitch. And then you don't say it ever. You just end up not doing anything about it for like, I don't know, financial security or something like that. Usually how it works, right? That's how that's how we all got sucked into the cabal, right? So yeah, I don't know, just throwing it out there. I would like it if maybe I encouraged one person to be their best self, maybe, or just their better self today, And then like maybe tomorrow you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh, I'm still my better self. Maybe I can take this to the next level. And then they do that 363 more times, and they just had a whole year of being better than they were the year before that and all the previous years. And they're like, life is not as hard as it's made out to be, you know? I don't know. It's just like a theory, though. It's my hypothesis, you know? It's like maybe we're supposed to do what we want to do. It's a fucking strange concept. It's hard, though. It's hard when we are losing thousands of billions of dollars every year and we don't know the value of the dollar. And the rest of the world's mad at us because they're working, they're putting in time and money into, you know, production and stuff, but like somehow the value of their money keeps on going down too whenever they use the US dollar, which is the global currency. So yeah, I understand why it's frustrating. It's just frustrating for all of us. So we all got to figure that out. Principalities and stuff. Get it, stay up, be up, one love, I and I, all that.